Hey guys, Ronan here. In today's video, we're going to be talking about the importance of fighting off your tickets. So we're going to break this video down into two parts. Number one, I'm going to go over why you need to fight off your tickets whenever you get pulled over by a police officer. If you get any charge, if you get any ticket, whether it's a speeding ticket, a minor infraction, a major infraction, a handheld device. So the first part, we're going to talk about the importance of fighting off your ticket. And then the second part, I'm going to talk to you about how to fight off the ticket. So today's video is sponsored by BURNESS Paralegal Services. So if you do have a ticket, if you drove into Ontario, out of Ontario, and you need representation, BURNESS would be able to help you out. They are a company since 1999. They've been fighting off tickets for truck drivers, providing service in Ontario. The unique approach about them is their extensive background in trucking. They understand and appreciate many of the difficulties as drivers face on the road and challenges of the job. Here at ET Transport, we do use this company to fight off our driver tickets, and we're extremely happy with their service. So shout out to them, and if you are in need of a paralegal or to fight off one of your traffic tickets, give them a shout. I will put a link at the bottom of this video. With this link, if you fill out the form, they will give you a 15-minute free consultation to talk to you about your traffic ticket. Again, they provide service for traffic tickets within Ontario. So if you're a US driver coming into Ontario and you got pulled over and got a ticket, they'd be able to help you out. Here is their website. It's BURNESSParalegal.com. Phone number is 519-285-5438. And I have put a link below. You can fill out the form and you would get a 15-minute free consultation to talk to them about your needs as a driver, if you need their representation for them to get you out of a ticket. So now back to the video, the importance of fighting off your ticket. So first thing, basically by fighting off your ticket, you can mitigate the damage or the charge that you've received. If you get a ticket of speeding, 10 over or 15 over, you can always reduce your sentence by fighting off a ticket. If you don't fight, you can't win, and if you don't fight it, then you can't reduce that sentence or the infraction. A lot of the times what the courts do is if you get a ticket for something that's 3 CVR points or 2 CVR points, you are very likely to be able to reduce the ticket to something of a lesser fine. The second thing, the reason you need to fight off your tickets is protecting your CVR and driver abstract, so your driving record. Now, why do we need to protect our driving record? There's many reasons for this, but you really don't want that stain on your driving record. This way, when people do a search on you, or if people pull up your history, or if people pull up your driving record, it's always going to be there. So when you're going for an interview, when you're going into a new position, it's always going to be, it's a stain that's going to be there for 3 years on your CVR. In the US, you have your SAFER, you have your driving record also. If you do get pulled into the scale and you get a violation, it will be on your driving record. So definitely that's another really important reason of why you want to fight off this ticket, because if you win, it's just not going to be there. The third thing is that if you ever plan on having your own authorities, and if you ever plan on going solo, first thing that an insurance company is gonna pull on you is your driving record. Now, if there is an infraction, especially a handheld device or speeding or following too closely, or there's a lot of infractions that if you have them, the insurance company have this rating system, and if you have any one of those tickets or any one of those convictions, you are tenfold more likely to get into an accident than somebody that has a clean abstract, a CVR and driver abstract. So you really, if you ever want to open up your own company, or if you ever want to drive solo or become an owner operator with his own authorities, you really do not want anything on your driver's license. So you might not think about it today when you're a company driver, but maybe one day you might want to do that. So you want to keep the option open, and that's why you need to find yourself a good paralegal like BURNESS that are going to represent you and are going to be able to reduce your sentence, if not to completely take off that ticket. Fourth thing is limit your exposure to harsher penalties from future charges. So what do I mean by that? If you received a conviction, for example, if you have a speeding ticket, and then 3 or 4 months or a year down the road, you get another ticket. Because you didn't fight off your first ticket, your second ticket is going to be very, very hard for you to fight off, because one thing that the courts look at, or any prosecutor looks at, when looking at or here, and we have the Crown, and the Crown right away they ask for your driving record, and if they see a similar offense, so this is your second time speeding, or your second time you didn't following too closely, or disobeying a stop sign, or rolling through a stop sign, they're really not going to drop the charges on your second offense, because you already have a conviction on the first one. If they see a pattern in your driving habits, if you didn't fight off your first or second ticket, they're not going to reduce any sentences on your third ticket or fourth ticket, or even a second ticket. So definitely that you need to limit your exposure, and you need to fight off your your first ticket in order to save yourself from a second or third ticket. And the last thing is really about education. So when you're going through this process, the court process, when you get yourself a ticket, you're really learning how to handle yourself in a situation in the future. You as a driver will know what the threshold is. So for example, in our Ontario highways, even though the posted speed limit says, 80 or 90, you really won't get pulled over if you're going 5 over, 7 over. Once you hit that 10 kilometers an hour over, so if the posted speed is 100 kilometers an hour and you're driving over 110 or 109, you will get pulled over. So that education, you really learn from your past experiences, you learn about what you can get away with and what you cannot get away with. So the second part of the video, I'm going to talk a little bit about, from a recruiter's perspective, what happens when we get drivers in here, and I'm shuffling through resumes, and first thing that we do is ask them for their CVR and abstract, and we also pull out the record in the US. A driver that has multiple infractions, even small ones, I can pick up right away on a driver whether he does a proper PTI or not based on his driving record. If he was pulled over in the scale and I see anything to do with tires, with threads, brake out of adjustments, lights not working, any of these minor infractions, I pick that up right away that the driver does not do a proper PTI. Any tickets that they have, or CVR points, or handheld device, or a texting and driving, even speaking on the phone, even speeding, any one of those is a big red flag for us, and we will not hire a driver that has 2 or more CVR points. So any ticket with a handheld device or a speeding ticket will get you those 2 CVR points. The third thing that we look at is, how long has a driver been driving? If the driver has, 3, 4, 5 years under his belt and has 1 infraction or even 2 minor infractions, we might bring him on board. But if it's a major infraction plus a couple of minor infractions, then we won't bring him on board. So there's extremely high importance of you fighting off those tickets so you can be able to get a good job in the future. Because if you don't fight it off and then something happens with the position that you're at right now, and then when you're looking for a job and you submit your CVR and driver abstract to a recruiter like myself, because I look at a lot of them, I prefer to have a clean CVR and abstract. If there's something there, a minor infraction, then I'm fine with it, but major infractions, I definitely would think twice about recruiting that kind of driver. And again, like I said before, from the insurance perspective, so we have an insurance company that insures our fleet, and so does everybody else, and they have their limitations also on what we can and cannot hire. If you have multiple infractions, then even if I wanted to hire you, I really couldn't hire you because our insurance company would not approve of this driver. So what happens when you do get a ticket? So most of the officers today, they do have cameras on them. So I highly recommend you do not say anything to the officer. Don't say, oh my God, I didn't notice. Oh my God, I can't believe I was driving that fast. You're admitting to fault. There's a lot of things that we can pull off of dash cams that can prove your innocence, but not when you admit fault. So I'll give you an example. One of our drivers got pulled over for speeding, and our dash cams, they're so sophisticated that you're able to see how fast the driver is going. So the police officer wrote out a ticket that he was going 80 kilometers an hour on a, I don't know what highway it was, Highway 50. The driver was actually going 74 kilometers an hour, and we were able to prove that through his dash cam. That ticket got thrown away in the garbage, and it's a good thing that the driver didn't say anything when the cop pulled him over. He just, was polite to him. He gave him the documents that he needed. The officer came back, gave him back the driver's license, the insurance, and he gave him also a ticket. So the driver took that ticket right away. Our drivers, we tell them to submit it to our company, and we use BURNESS paralegal services for all of our drivers here, and they have a phenomenal track record with what they do with our drivers. So right away, when we get the ticket, we fill out the back of the ticket that we would like to apply for the court. The next thing we do is we submit the mail that we would like disclosure on what the officer has, and based on that, we would, we would think whether we want to hire the paralegal or not hire the paralegal. If it's something easy that we can take care of ourselves, we'll do it in-house. Because we have paralegals working here at ET Transport. If it's something that's a little bit more complex, or we feel like, we really need representation, we will reach out to the paralegals and have them fight off the tickets. They've done wonders for us on the way they fight off our tickets for our drivers. We do run into some issues with drivers that hide the fact that they get a ticket. So we pull out our CVR and our SAFER every single month, and we see who got tickets and who didn't, and who submitted their violations, who didn't submit the violations. The worst thing that you can do is hide the fact that you received the ticket, because now you're putting yourself and the company at jeopardy, because now they can't even fight it off. When a driver gets a ticket, right away we fill out a form. It's basically a driver statement, and that driver statement will let us know as a company, how severe is the ticket, how severe is the infraction, and to fight it off. Now, are we going to use the external, the professionals? to fight off our ticket, or are we gonna do it in-house? So you really need to, ASAP, I mean, the second you get the infraction, let the company know, picture message it to your company, to your safety department, let them know that you got an infraction, and then you guys can decide. Here we have a rule at the company that all driver tickets are fought. We fight every single ticket, whether you're at fault, whether you're not at fault. We try to reduce the sentence, and we try to reduce the fine, and in a lot of cases they just get dismissed. Especially now, you really need to be taking advantage of COVID and the way the court systems are being run. You know, if it's a minor infraction, they just really throw it out. If it's a major infraction, I mean, they might give it the time of day, but you should really be taking advantage of the court systems are running maybe at half the capacity or 1/3 of the capacity. Getting a trial date is nearly impossible. And I think there's a rule saying that, you know, if things prolong past the 18 months, or I think it's 2 years, that it basically just gets dismissed. All right, guys, so in closing, what you can take away from this video. So definitely number one is, it doesn't matter what kind of ticket you get, you should be fighting it off. That extra $300, $400, $500 that you're gonna spend for representation, for somebody to fight off your ticket, it really does not equate to the amount of money you're gonna be saving on your insurance premiums. It does not compare to the position that you're gonna be denied of if that infraction is going to be on your CVR or driver abstract. It's just not worth it to leave it there. You really need to try to do something about it. If I leave you with anything, it's when you do get a ticket, you really need to find yourself good representation and to be able to fight off that ticket in order to avoid things getting even worse for you. So I have put the link below to BURNESS Paralegal Services. I have attached the link also to their website. If you do need representation here in Ontario, they are an amazing company. They fight off our tickets, and we're extremely happy with the service that they do for us here at ET Transport. I'm Ronan, and I'll catch you in the next one.